a lot of your businesses are retail in nature. You talked about your employees and how they didn't have a lot saved up and things like that. But a lot of your businesses are retail in nature. How do you see retail in a post-pandemic world? Do you see it bouncing back, or do you see you having to, fundamentally shift your approach to venture capital?
Well, I've learned a lot since March, and I have a lot of clarity on 2021 now, and I can give you an interesting sort of snapshot of what's occurred. Most companies, particularly in consumer goods and services, of which I have many, I have exposure to many of them. The ones that survived made the pivot, the digital pivot. They moved away from selling through retail. When you sell through retail, you make 50 cents on the dollar. When you sell direct to your customer, you make 100 cents on the dollar. So what they did is they licensed Shopify platforms. They got involved with DocuSign. They used Zoom. They standardized on Wix.com maybe for whatever they had to do to digitize. And then they took and focused their customers, not new customers, just their existing customers, back on buying directly from them. And today, they're now, in 80% of my portfolio is ahead of a forecast on free cash flow at the end of this year, which really shocked me quite a bit. And the other 20% are involved in travel and leisure and entertainment and the wedding industry. They're not doing so well, and it's unclear what's going to happen to them. But batting 800 is pretty good. But one thing I will say, retail is forever changed. We are not reopening our the stores that had mediocre returns. We're never reopening them. We're just going to continue with the direct consumer model. And so I think the retail landscape is going to change quite a bit. If you have a brand like Lululemon or something, you can afford to have a retail store because you're selling $1,000 winter coats. But if you're a generic retailer in a generic mall, the outcome is not going to be pretty.
Yeah. You are, I think, spot on in regard to retail. We were talking about this earlier today on Market Foolery, actually, regarding Nike's most recent quarter, direct sales, just phenomenal, representing almost 40% of their business. Now, all of a sudden you look back several years and you can recognize the investments they made in that direct-to-consumer are just paying off so well now. This is the work from home environment, right? This is something we've all been doing this past year. And obviously, given the nature of your job, it demands that you be in a number of different places, sometimes at once, it seems. Are any of your employees, or are you working from home? And what do you think about this work from home trend? Do you feel like retail being forever changed? Do you feel like this work from home trend is something that's here to stay as well?
Let me give you an anecdotal example of some fundamentally change. This is a product that I invested in, a company called Boost Oxygen. This is a can of commercial oxygen, which is 95% pure oxygen, 5% air, and it's what pilots breathe on aircraft. And if the masks come down, it'll be what you breathe. And the idea of this company was to provide a boost in high altitude cities like Aspen and high altitude locations. It's pure oxygen. I use it instead of coffee now. It's much healthier, and I use it in the afternoon. Now, this product, as you can imagine, because of the pandemic, has done extremely well, not because of high altitude, because of people's concerns about health and living at home and wanting to be healthy from a respiratory basis. So the world's largest retailer, the name I can't give you, but let your imagination wander. Normally, they had it in high altitude locations. They said, this thing's selling so well, we'd like to hear a plan to roll it out across the country in over 3,600 locations. Now, normally when that would happen in the past, the CEO would fly there, the head of sales and her team would fly there, and out of respect, because I own a significant position of the company, I would fly there too and support it in that presentation to the buyer, because it's a very, very large order. And that's not what happened. We did it on an 18-minute Zoom call with some very high-tech three-dimensional graphics that showed the planogram in terms of how we were going to present the product line. And I had a chance to speak to the buyer for a few minutes afterwards. She was a huge Shark Tank fan. And we talked a little bit about how her life has changed. She's getting 30% more productivity in every day, because instead of 5 meetings a day, she's doing 18-minute Zooms, 5-minute break, 18-minute Zoom, 5-minute break. So she's getting more work done from her own home, and she's driving the process with the companies. We're not wasting our time. So I called my guy in accounting. How much money did we save collectively by not having to go there? $37,000 straight to the bottom line. Now that's happening all over America, and it means bad news for motels, bad news for the airlines, great news for the other 80% of the economy that's going to accrue the benefit of that huge reduction in business travel and entertainment and more productivity in terms of getting their products. And this is for an online order with that retailer and a planogram for shelf. It's a huge order. And we did it all using technology.